Please rewind this cassette.
All right, we're here to talk about Game of Thrones Season 8, or at least the first official trailer for the season. I guess I need to give you a little history on my feeling towards Game of Thrones. I'll ignore bringing up the books, even though I've read them. I think the first 4.5 seasons are pretty great. I like episodes of Season 5, particularly Hard Home. I think Season 6 has nice spectacle, but overall, the writing flaws really started to show, particularly with D&D. The time jumps, the continuity errors, the fan favoritism, or at least the fan fiction-esque writing they were presenting with certain characters like Jon and Dany. Just some huge mistakes that were made, and them condensing down certain characters and plot lines in favor of others that were less interesting, I think, to a lot of us fans who preferred the more political and character-driven show, and less so the show that was built around these high fantasy battle sequences and classic villains versus heroes stories. What used to be great about Game of Thrones was that it was complex and nuanced, was that people felt real, that they had flaws, that they were fallible, that they made mistakes that any of us could make through ignorance or arrogance, that people were up to schemes. There was a lot of subterfuge going on this show, and there was logical conclusions to things. If you made mistakes, you were punished for those mistakes. If you made a good move, usually it would pay off pretty well. And it was really just a lot of people talking to each other in rooms, and then people taking long journeys with each other to get somewhere, and the payoffs felt grander because we had to wait so long to get there, and all the buildup was so intense. Now they just kind of get to the point really fast. There's an immediacy to the show that I don't really like. How does Dany get from here to there with her dragon? How many weeks were they here? Wait a minute, the map is shown at the beginning, but it seems like Jaime just got here in 2 days and then went back to King's Landing in like 4 hours. Things just stop making sense. And even though it's still big, stupid fun, and it's still worth watching for the memes alone, I can't help but say that Game of Thrones has been one of the biggest disappointments in my modern geekdom or fandom or watching shows like this. And I don't even like saying fans, because I always thought of that term in kind of a negative way, that it's a little condescending. Still, this is the TV event, and in many ways the pop culture event of the last decade. Post Lord of the Rings and Harry Potter, it certainly seems to have more of an impact than Star Wars has in the recent films. But this is just upsetting, because I think Game of Thrones really could have been a 10-season long great thing that had a lot of material, but it's I really don't know what's going on in D&D's heads. I wish they had brought other writers in to flesh out these scripts. I wish they had spent more time on the production. I wish they weren't so caught up in big set pieces with horses. They would actually get these little intimate battle scenes better done. It's not like there still isn't good stuff. Matt Shackman came in last year and did a terrific job directing a couple episodes. But this year is exciting in the fact that they're bringing back the guy who directed Hard Home and the Battle of the Bastards. He's visually probably the best filmmaker that's worked on the show. So he's probably coming back, I assume, to shoot 2 huge battle sequences. I'm assuming the fight for Winterfell, and then another fight that will happen right before the finale. The interesting thing is that D&D are actually directing the final episode, and I think before they've each previously only directed 1 episode. Episodes I like, by the way. So yeah, for me, the golden age of Game of Thrones is like seasons 1 through 3. 4 is when it kind of just started to feel more like a TV show, but a good TV show. Season 5 was like that drop-off season, but you were still, interested in what was going to happen. And then season 6, it was like they were giving the fans what they wanted. And I guess I didn't have a problem with that, but the hope with season 7 was they were going to pull back from that a little bit and go back to basics. And it just kind of got scattershot and lost its focus, I think. I think the plot's been lost for a while now. Now it's basically Jon Snow and Dany are going to fight the final boss, the Night King, on dragons. So this is the first big trailer we've gotten, and they still don't show us much here. We don't actually get a lot of action shots. We don't get a lot of plot details. I think the season 6 trailer was the last trailer I thought was really great for the show. I think that big trailer they had for season 6, especially showing off the cinematography, was really impressive, because that is one thing about the show that's remained very of a high quality, is the production value. So let's get into this. We start with Arya, who's breathing, panting. I'm assuming she's getting chased by White Walkers, because that's the best guess we have here. Oh god, I also hate, I just don't want to go on a separate tangent here, but I really hate how they killed off so many of the direwolves. Like, each one of the Stark kids having a direwolf was so awesome. And it was this really, like, emotional, compelling thing, and it tied to the characters, and then they just kill them off. Some of them get killed off screen. And I hate that Bran doesn't have one right now. I think that would be badass if he was going around in his Charles Xavier wheelchair and he had his direwolf and we saw things through the perspective of the direwolf with him warging into it. Why do you waste the potential of that? And where was Ghost last season? They can spend millions of dollars on the dragon CGI, but we can't get any direwolves. Did the direwolves even need to be CGI? Couldn't they have used, like, forced perspective? Never mind. So Arya talks about how she knows death after her terrible plot, with her going to train and join the Faceless Men, and how that really had no payoff, and the horrible stuff that happened there, and her getting injured and healing in what seemed like 2 hours, then having a chase sequence. But Arya's become a cartoon character. She used to be one of my favorite characters. She says, I look forward to seeing this one. So I'm assuming this episode's around the fight for Winterfell, which I assume is going to be around episode 5. This is the Golden Company, which we haven't seen for a while. I love this armor, by the way. I gotta say, this is some of the coolest armor the show's had in a long time. Like, I really like how this looks. Once again, nice cinematography. Why is it so dark, though? Holy shit. I know this has been a complaint before, but, like, this is dark. Like, these day scenes are good enough, but some of this stuff is so darkly lit. I don't know. I remember in the early seasons what was so cool is there was just atmosphere. They would just let atmosphere and tension and the hint of fantasy in the background. Are these gods real? How much of this magic is real magic, or is it some kind of science to this world? Is it like gravity? That stuff just doesn't seem to be there anymore. It used to be characters were talking and there would be a hint of something going on, and it was really cool, and there was all this mystery going on, and it just doesn't have that. There's still those aspects to the show that are interesting. I'm not denying that. Those are still the big questions. What is everything basically going on? You know, I mean, we're pretty sure the Night King's a warg, and we're pretty sure that, you know, Bran's probably going to warg into a dragon at some point. I'd even assume he might warg into a dead dragon, or, you know, we don't know what's going to happen. I'm assuming, because D&D keep doing this kind of stuff, it's just going to be Jon and Dany on dragons fighting the Night King, which I hope doesn't happen, but I could see that. We get some shots of Sansa and Winterfell with the dragons. That's pretty cool. We get the classic... I really don't like the Jon and Dany romance. It hurts that she's like the worst actress. And Kit Harington's just... he's a nice guy. I guess that's what I could say. We're getting all the big supporting characters. That's a nice shot. It's cool to see Jaime Lannister in action. He's still a character I think's remained very consistent and been developed very well. And I like that he's joining up with the good guys to fight the walkers. Lena Headey, who has a very fun performance. Back when everyone used to give good performances. Remember when Peter Dinklage was great on the show? And Varys and Littlefinger and their conversations with each other and what they were scheming against each other. Remember when that stuff was great? Remember when that was Game of Thrones, and it was like every week, every episode had its own little thematic point, but it also tied into all the plot lines going on. But she still has a lot of fun. She still chews up the scenery. That's very fun. She overacts just enough. She still has a lot of fun. Euron has fun too. Fortunately, a lot of these performances have become bland, maybe due to the success of the show, but also the writing has not been there. Especially with plot twists and people getting screwed over, people dying, Bronn not getting killed by the dragon or Jaime, Jon having plot armor. This shot's the best shot of the trailer, by the way. That's a great shot. That's badass. That could be a cover to a fantasy novel. If I saw that cover, I'd be like, I'm buying this book. The Double Dragons. That's an awesome shot. This stuff looks cool. It's still a little dark. How many times have we seen that shot before where a dragon breathes fire into the camera? I feel like every season has that shot. I hope we're getting ready. This is the Lord of the Rings, Helm's Deep, or Gondor moment. These are some cool characters to see together. Oh, remember that Greystone or that gray skin injury that he got that was completely pointless and didn't go anywhere, and they spent so much time on it just for him to get it cured by Sam really easily. And then Danny sends him off again for like the 20th time. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, there we go. No real stinger here. I was expecting like a last little visual. Because, man, April 14th's not that far away. I mean, I'm assuming we're going to get another trailer before the season starts. I think they have another big trailer planned with some big shots. So far, it's just a lot of teasing. This trailer's a real tease. It's giving us hints at the battles. So I guess my hopes are character deaths, major ones, killing off. We still have a lot of characters. I'm saying, like, kill them off big time. More episodes like the Queen's Justice. Hopefully the battle episodes, the big set piece episodes, really pay off. Hopefully the finale. You know, I feel like you could forgive a lot of Season 7's huge issues, which there are many, and you could forgive a lot of the things they fumbled and things that they probably shouldn't have done over the last few seasons if the character deaths here have really nice emotional payoffs, if there's some pathos, and if the final episode, the last episode directed by D&D, which I'm assuming is going to be a long episode, I could see this being 2 hours, has a finality to it, with the characters that remain, and ultimately what we get left as an idea of what Westeros represented and how it reflects our own world and history. And hopefully it just gives a nice period to the sentence. So hopefully we can kind of be like, well, they meandered a little bit, but they stuck the landing. And when we got to the end of the show, we were very satisfied. So really, I think they could have a couple episodes a season aren't that great. I think every season has a couple episodes that aren't as good as the overall season. Sometimes the season starts strong and ends good. Other times the season has kind of started slow and then has a big payoff. I'm hoping that this season, you know, just at least has 1 or 2 episodes that are really great classic episodes, even from modern Game of Thrones standards, like maybe The Door. And then my hope is the finale, as a piece of writing with dialogue and character exchanges and just expanding the lore and what we feel. I hope that at least is satisfying. I feel like if they can pull off the last episode to where that works as just a piece of a standalone cinema or art or what have you, not even a spectacle, just as kind of maybe stripping everything down a little bit and being a little bit more quiet, sort of like the pilot. Hopefully we can go out on a note like that and at least go, well, they ended it decent, so it wasn't all for nothing. Because if they ruin this season and they fuck up the last episode, it really is just gonna ruin Game of Thrones overall, and it's even going to be hard to go back and watch those early seasons that are so great, that I think are up there with The Wire and The Sopranos and Deadwood. Hopefully they can end on a high note. D&D have been thinking about this for so long that they have some good material. Hopefully George Martin is somehow involved, even though he seems to have no impact on the show anymore. It seems like he doesn't even watch the show. He doesn't tweet about it. Hopefully something comes together. Hopefully they still have some story beats that George told them about that are interesting. Because that's all we really have left is some big revelations. Because if it's all the predictable stuff we've all been saying for years, and we just get good versus evil, and it all ends in a cliche way, I'm not going to be satisfied. I need some meat on this. I need some steak with my potatoes. Excuse me. I'm a little under the weather. But I guess that's all I have to say. It looks nice.